Imagine a narrow strip of water, so important that a single military confrontation there could affect fuel prices, stock markets, and economies across the entire globe. That place exists, and today it's at the center of one of the world's most dangerous geopolitical crises. Welcome to this explainer. Today we're breaking down the escalating 2026 crisis in the Middle East and why this single flashpoint matters to absolutely everyone.
So, what is really happening? Could one waterway literally change the world? How can one narrow strip of water threaten global security? With military tensions between the US and Iran intensifying right now, global markets are watching every single development. Let's break down why this specific place is so uniquely critical. The answer lies in the Strait of Hormuz. It's a relatively narrow but incredibly strategic global choke point. Every single day, a massive share of the world's seaborne oil passes through this very route, connecting major energy producers in the Gulf to global markets across Asia, Europe, and beyond. That means even limited disruptions here can ripple outward, shuttering the entire global economy.
Part 1. Crisis at the Strait. What is truly alarming is just how rapidly the situation deteriorated in mid-July. On July 12th, renewed U.S.-Iran strikes began. The very next day, both Washington and Tehran traded deadly counterstrikes, with both sides claiming control over this critical route. By July 14th, the violence had completely spilled over to commercial shipping. And then, on July 15th, the United Nations officially warned of a return to full-on war. It was a stunningly fast escalation.
But this isn't just about oil and economics. The absolutely crucial point here is the human cost. 2. That's the number of seafarers the UN reported killed during those overnight attacks on commercial shipping. Real people are caught in the crossfire here, raising intense international concern over maritime safety. Part 2. Roots of the conflict. To really understand today's strikes, we have to look back, because decades of changing foreign policy fundamentally altered the balance of power here. Specifically, the 2003 U.S. invasion of Iraq broke internal regional balances. Removing Saddam Hussein essentially removed a containing wall, which inadvertently allowed Iran to expand its influence in the resulting vacuum. This one massive pivot paved the way for the power struggles we're seeing right now. So instead of a single, unified Middle East, we're basically looking at an underlying Cold War. The region is deeply divided into two primary, fiercely competing blocs that are constantly struggling for security and influence. You've got the Iranian Shiite leadership bloc on one side and the Saudi Sunni bloc on the other. First, let's break down the Iranian-led bloc. This coalition naturally places Iran at the center, alongside Bashar al-Assad's regime in Syria, the Baghdad government in Iraq, and resistance movements like Hezbollah. They also intermittently align with Hamas. It's this vast, complex network designed to project power across multiple borders. On the flip side, we have the Saudi-led bloc. This one encompasses Saudi Arabia, Egypt under the al-Sisi regime, the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, and Jordan. And crucially, it features Israel as a de facto ally. We are literally seeing historical rivals uniting over a common interest in counterbalancing Iranian influence. Part 3. Diplomacy and UN warnings. Following the tragic deaths of those two seafarers, the UN Maritime Agency issued a really strong immediate condemnation, stating that the cycle of escalation must end. They are stressing that this violence has to stop immediately to protect innocent civilians. The situation has become so severe, it's drawn the highest level of diplomatic alarm. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres urgently warns against return to full-on war. He's practically pleading for a new diplomatic push, warning that destroying Gulf infrastructure could push the entire region into an irreversible, all-out war. Part 4. Shifting regional alliances. Adding to all this tension, we're seeing a deliberate shift in recent U.S. strategy, a doctrine really aimed at reducing America's global military footprint. The goal is to scale back global military responsibilities and basically ask regional allies to take on more of those security roles themselves. A prime example of this shifting engagement was U.S. President Donald Trump recently meeting with Syria's interim president, Ahmed al-Shara. The crucial point to take away here is that this perceived shift creates a lot of uncertainty. As the U.S. steps back, regional allies are forced to take on way more responsibility, which injects brand new volatility into the region. Traditional allies like Saudi Arabia and Israel are rapidly recalculating their own defense strategies. And in a region this tense, recalculation can very easily look like escalation. Part 5.
The global stakes.
The ultimate takeaway from this explainer is simple but scary. A local strike in the Strait of Hormuz directly threatens global supply chains, international fuel prices, and global security. Military action here simply doesn't stay local. When stability falters in the strait, the economic shockwaves are felt at gas pumps, in grocery stores, and in financial markets worldwide.
Which leaves us with one final lingering question. As regional alliances shift and military strikes escalate, can diplomacy actually prevent a full-scale conflict that reshapes the globe? Will the urgent calls for restraint succeed, or are we witnessing the beginning of a conflict that will fundamentally change the world as we know it? Keep your eyes on the Strait of Hormuz, because our shared global future might just sail right through it.